What's up everyone, my name's Lachlan Perry. Welcome to Author on Author Interviews. In this video on this podcast, I'm joined by Nadine Vanders, an independent author from Amsterdam currently working on a crime series titled Parallel Lines, which is due to be released next year in 2022. Being an indie writer myself, trying to break into the industry, Nadine has been a huge inspiration to me, and her advice is sure to inspire any aspiring indie author listening to or watching this recording. As always, if you guys enjoy this video or enjoy this recording, don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, if you'd like to find out more about Nadine and these videos, you can find our social media details below. Enjoy it.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
So just before I jump into talking about your books, I'd just like to ask a couple of questions about you as an author. To start off with, how old are you? And when were you first inspired to become an author?
Well, I am 29, and my first inspiration to start writing actually started really early. I think I was around 8, 9, and it started with me being obsessed with the movie Titanic. And I actually, I really loved it. So I rewatched it many times. And then I actually felt like some things about the storyline had to be changed. So I started writing like on printer paper. I was rewriting everything about Titanic. And at the end, I ended up with like a very big chunk of paper with everything that I wanted to see changed. Obviously, that was way too late because the movie was already out. But I really did that like a very long time. And afterwards, I started getting into fan fiction because I was young and I was like a fan of a few bands and a few other artists. And that's how I actually started, developing my writing skills.
That's awesome. So tell us a little bit about your background. Did you grow up in the Netherlands?
Yeah, I did. I was born here in The Hague. Afterwards, I have lived for a little while across the country. Now I'm actually in Amsterdam. Everyone knows Amsterdam. But yeah, I've always lived here. I was born and raised here.
So so how has your writing career progressed as you've gotten older? Have you ever started a novel and decided to drop it in pursuit of another idea?
Well, I've written many kind of stories, but it wasn't really something as serious as what I'm writing right now. So this was actually my first real novel series idea. And this one came to me like 5 years ago. But before that, I was not really writing big novels. It were just like smaller stories. So no, I never really had an idea that I started and dropped. Not really, no.
So have you done something in your writing career that's considerably developed your writing skills? Like have you done a writing course, or did you go through a particular event in your life that's really improved your understanding of a topic and really narrowed down your writing skills?
Well, what I started doing when this idea for Parallel Lines came to me, I realized, okay, my English is good, but it's not as on point as it should be to write an English book, because obviously my first language is Dutch.
Yeah.
So I actually went to take a Cambridge Cambridge English course. And I actually scored quite high on that one. And, because of all the vocabulary that I've learned from them, I really felt like that has improved my writing a lot. When it comes to actual writing courses, I have like probably watched every good YouTube video about writing.
Yeah.
And, I have been watching Neil Gaiman as well on masterclass and stuff. So I have been trying to develop myself because, the things that I don't know, I want to know, I want to learn. So then I simply Google it and I just go on until I understand it.
Yeah. So, what inspired you to write crime books? Was there like a particular event in your life that inspired you to write in the genre?
Not really. It was more that, I know that there's a lot of evil out there.
Yeah,
Um, but I feel like there is also types of evil out there that aren't really discussed enough or
yeah.
that are glorified in any type of way.
Mm,
Um, you know, and this really inspired me to actually create crime books that
mm,
are raw, like more raw than what you see nowadays. I'm trying to flip the coin on specific subjects
mm,
just to make sure that people, get the message and understand what I'm trying to convey. So for me, it was only natural actually to start writing crime books because
mm,
it's all of the messages that I want to tell people.
mm. So, in the crime genre, is there a particular theme or setting that you like to focus on?
I like to focus on the psychological part of crime.
Yeah,
Um, in the way of, it's very easy to write someone ending up in a shooting, or just
yeah,
imagine, or someone
yeah.
killing someone.
Mm,
But what's behind there? Like what's happening in the head? Um, why do people move the way they do?
mm,
And I really like to explore this
mm,
psychological side of crime in
mm,
fiction books.
mm. So, just talking about your writing life, how do you manage writing with everything going on in your life and all your circumstances? And do you tend to write early in the morning or late at night?
Um, I gotta admit that it's not easy having a
Mm,
family and stuff. Um, I've also been studying for a very long time while writing. I've been working a very long time while writing for a boss. So that was definitely not easy. And, I think it's important to realize at some days when you're just so busy that you feel so stressed because there literally is no free time,
mm,
that it's okay to let it pass,
mm,
maybe, because, if we force ourselves to write under circumstances in where we are so stressed because, other things in life have to be done as well.
mm.
um, I think it's okay not to be too hard on yourself and
Yeah,
realize that maybe not today, but then maybe tomorrow or a weekend, or, just try to build it into your schedule. And if you really have a goal, you can also just like speak to your family, because that's what I did. At one point, I literally just told them, like, Friday evening is for me.
mm,
You guys can do what you want, but don't
mm,
enter my office because I'm trying to write. I'm trying to create something here. And I
mm.
think that's really important, that we give our limits and our boundaries to the people
Yeah,
around us
yeah,
so that we can also, like, well, not force them, but maybe a little bit force them to respect our art, because
yeah.
that's not always easy when you're in a family, when you're a mom, when you're a wife. It's not
Mm,
always easy
mm,
to get that out of people, that they will give you the
yeah,
space you need. So
yeah.
yeah, right now I write in the mornings because that's the easiest for me. That's when the house is empty. So yeah, I write in the early mornings.
Awesome, Nadine. Um, Also, I wanted to ask a question that I asked this question with each author because I like it
Mhm.
and it's a bit different. Um, but if you could do something as a teenager or a young adult to become a better writer, what would you do?
So like if I could go back in time,
Yeah, to say like 12, 14.
I would start with my English courses a lot earlier.
Yeah.
Because my English is not bad. It has never been bad. Like when I was around this age, I was actually doing very well at school
Mm,
with English and with my friends that I spoke to on the phone who didn't
mm,
speak Dutch.
mm,
But I would have taken the Cambridge course like earlier. I don't think it's possible to take it around 12, but then I would have done it around 16 or 17
mm,
instead of what I did now.
mm. All right, awesome,
17.
Nadine. So getting onto the parallel line series now, when and where were you first inspired to write the first book in this series?
The first inspiration came to me through a song that I was listening to. it was very interesting because at this point, this song is not even like relatable anymore to the book, like only a very small part of it. But I was listening to a song and I got a specific image because I am like when someone tells me something or when I read something, it immediately starts playing in my head like a movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was listening to this song and suddenly I had this image, I just saw something flash through my head and I was like, what is this? And I started experiencing more of it and what like the emotion that I got from it. And I built the whole story from this one scene that doesn't even involve the protagonist. Like it's a side character that I saw first with another side character. And it all grew from there. So it was literally just a song.
That's amazing. I've never heard an author say that before.
Yeah, well, I don't even understand it myself. Like sometimes people ask me, how do you come up with this? Like, how did you do this? Like from one song, I have no idea.
So tell us a little bit about the storyline for Parallel Lines. Who are the main characters we're following and what's the setting for the story?
Oh, wow. I've never, ever, ever told anyone about this before. But the setting...
little parts of it, just to give us a taste test of what it's about.
Well, about the characters that it follows, it actually are two characters. So I don't have, I have one protagonist, but I have another main character who's also really very important. It's a, like the protagonist is male, so he's a guy. And the main character that also has like a point of view in the book, that's a female. But they are not connected in the way that people would often expect in crime books, like, oh, they're a couple or something. Not at all. Like, this is why it's called parallel lines. They're both on the other side, of each other, like running parallel, but not interfering. They know each other. They are in contact. It's not like they don't talk to each other. They don't know each other. They do know each other. But their secrets do not meet each other yet until later on. So we have the male and we have the female, and the setting is downtown New York City, like the darkest streets of New York City.
That's a great setting, Nadine.
Yeah.
I'm amped already. So let's talk a little bit about the themes of Parallel Lines. What type of feelings are you trying to evoke from your first book?
I think if I had to put it like into a few words, the words that are popping up is like when it comes to teams, it's brotherhood. It's not everything is as you think or as it seems. That's a really important one. Love comes in many, many shapes and forms. It's not always romantic. Neither does dedication always has to be romantic. Neither does it always have to be that when a guy fights for a girl, it has to be a romantic reason for it. So yeah, the teams would also be trying to keep bonds and trying to keep standing in a life you never chose for. So trying to live in a situation that's actually a nightmare, but you don't know how to get out of it. So it actually has like a lot of themes. There's also a lot of family importance, That's why I said the brotherhood part. And yeah, that would be book one. Like if I go on, I'm going into book 2 and 3, and that's not what we want to do here. Also grief and handling pain is also a very big theme in book 1.
Awesome, Nadine. I'm loving all these themes coming together. So did you plan out this series or did you sort of just sit down at first and let your creative mind rip?
No, I planned everything because this is a trilogy, and that means that not just each book on its own has to make sense like in the series, but it also means that things that happen in book 3 or book 2 can also be spotted early on, maybe in book 1 or book 2. So I think this is important. Like, that's why it's important to plan when you're making a series, because it allows you to drop Easter eggs as well.
Yeah, very true, very true.
And I wouldn't have been able to do that without planning, because the story is too complicated for me to just like write it down without planning anything.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm totally the same, Nadine.
Yeah.
So apart from that first song that sort of sparked the idea, were there any other writers or artists that you looked to while writing this series for inspiration?
Well, there are a lot of good thriller books out there, and I've read a lot of them. But since I'm a very visual person, it would more, like in this setting, would it be like TV shows that I saw, like Breaking Bad and stuff, and Sons of Anarchy. It really had amazing themes in there. It's a feeling that you get. When it comes to books, I really liked Gone Girl, Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, those kind of books.
Yeah.
And I don't really have one person that I look at, because I feel like everyone can contribute to what I'm looking for. So, I take something from every work that I'm seeing. Not when it comes to the story, of course, but like what I learned from the author is different with everyone. And there is not one person that I look to, because I like to stay open-minded and look at many people.
Awesome. So just in terms of your writing process, now with Parallel Lines, have you sort of been giving people parts of your story for feedback, or have you sort of just been putting little bits out there for, to get some feedback online or anything like that?
No, I haven't posted it anywhere. But I have a critic partner, of course, and he reads what I write. He also helps me with revisions, because he's a native speaker, so for him it's easier to see the mistakes that I'm making in sentence building or whatever. I have a close friend who actually writes children's books, so she doesn't really help me with thrillers, because she wouldn't really know. But she helps me with just telling me like what she felt, in a scene. Like sometimes I send her a scene and she will tell me the emotion that she felt when reading it, which is also very important to me to know. And there is one other friend that I sometimes talk to on the phone, and then I ask him for advice, and then he reads a small part and then he gives me advice. So I do have like a very small circle of critique partners, but there's only one person who has the whole manuscript to help me edit. Yeah.
That's great, Nadine, but keeping it very secret. I like it. Keeping it very secret. That's good. That's great.
Yeah.
So did you find that you changed as a person while writing this series? Was there any new things that you discovered about yourself in the process?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Especially the guy, my protagonist, is someone that I cannot relate to, in the way of, I don't agree with him. He's very different from how I am personally. So I really had to open my mind and really just go in blank in order to understand him. And so I really spent months just investigating, reading, about his character type. It wasn't easy at all. And I think this is what I learned most from Parallel Lines, is that, that I should be able to see things from the other side. Without it necessarily having to be bad. So my protagonist and we are not alike. I don't agree with him, but I know he's not a bad person because I know how he is. So I think that's one of the things that I've learned, that, it really takes time to become so open-minded that you're able to write someone who goes against everything you stand for. Like that was really, and that really made me grow as a person. It made me more compassionate towards the people around me, towards people going through stuff that I wouldn't agree on, but I'd still be able to understand them and lend a helping hand. So that's probably the biggest thing that I've learned from writing this book. And then I also learned that, writing is a lonely journey. You should not expect anyone to care, to help, to even listen to what you want to talk about, because people simply do not want to do that. Like that's something that I've really learned a lot with friends around me, and we had a great friendship. And then I wanted to talk about my book, and they would shut me off because they were not interested. And I think that's something that a lot of authors learn in their journey.
Yeah, that's
Definitely.
great. That's great. So this ties very close to what you just said in your last part there. So I know from experience that all writers go through a period of self-doubt. They don't believe in their work and stuff. How have you continued on writing despite these feelings of self-doubt?
Oh, sometimes this is really a hard one for me because obviously, I'm trying to write in a language that isn't mine. So I often get frustrated when I read my own work. And I'm like, no, this is far from good enough. I didn't describe it well. What the hell, what do I do? But what I do is grab yourself together and just do it.
Yeah.
Because there's no other way. No one is going to write this book for you. So if you want it out there, you're gonna have to confront yourself. You're gonna have to look at yourself in the mirror and just be like, we're gonna do this.
Yeah.
And that's really the only way to go. Is like through it. You have to go through it.
Yeah.
Self-doubt is a part of the journey as well, because we always have space to grow.
Yeah.
I don't think we are ever done with growing as authors.
That's very good, Nadine. So what do you want people to take away from Parallel Lines? How do you want them to feel at the end of the story?
I want them to realize that not everything is the way it is, or it is the way it seems. And I want them to feel like, do you literally mean like the ending of book one?
Yeah, I suppose like they can finish off the book and then come back to it later and then realize certain things about it. And what certain things are you trying to get them to realize from the storyline?
Like the real messages?
Yeah, like real life messages.
Well, that it's important to actually understand people who are different from you, and that they can make decisions like, what I just told you, like that they make decisions that you might not understand at first, but sometimes you just have to trust someone. And I think that's really a message that I'm going to tell people in book one, because trust is a real big issue in book one. Like nobody trusts each other. Like it's real suspenseful. Nobody really knows each other's agenda. And I hope people will realize in the end that it's not as the way they thought it was, but I also hope they realize that there are more truths to one situation, and everyone can have like a different part in it as well. And sometimes you just have to play your part, whether that's what you like to do or not, And that's one of the messages that is really important. And the other messages, I have some messages for the entire series, but I won't be able to say that now because people will not realize that until book 3.
Yeah, of course.
But this is really important in book 1, sometimes things aren't the way you thought they were, but it doesn't necessarily mean that someone is being a bad person. Sometimes someone just has to do what they have to do.
Yeah, that's great, Nadine. So now that we've gone over the series, you have to tell us, when is Parallel Lines going to be released?
Next year. Book 1 is coming next year. Yes, I'm really very busy right now with the revisions and stuff. It's going quite well. I have great people beside me to help me with the language and stuff. So you know, and I'm still developing myself, and I think it's actually going quite well. Then it's going to the professional editor, and then it's ready to go.
Awesome, Nadine. I can't wait for it. So finally, I'd love you to share with people how they can get in contact with you and also find out more about you and your Parallel Line series.
Well, you can always find me on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter, Nadia Vanders. I also have a link tree in my Instagram bio, and I think Lachlan is going to tag me, right?
Yep, will do.
Awesome. So you can find my link tree there. I'm also building a website right now. I'm currently busy with trying to create a blog and where I will keep everyone updated as well. And yeah, just feel free to message me.
Awesome, Nadine. I've loved this conversation. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
Speaking to you. For everyone watching the video, if you haven't already, remember to check out the social media links. Everything Nadine just mentioned, I will put below. Make sure to check it out and stay tuned for our upcoming series. Also, if you'd like to meet other awesome writers like us and learn more about our journeys and how we've developed as people and authors, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Thanks heaps, guys. I hope to catch up with you soon. And I'll catch you soon, Nadine.
Yes, catch you soon.